This is the story of a nation once full of hope, a land of beauty, culture, and courage, now torn apart by endless war. This is the story of Sudan. For decades, its people have suffered in silence, families destroyed, cities burned, and millions forced to flee their homes. While the world watched quietly, Sudan drowned in blood and tears. Today, we uncover the truth behind one of the world's most heartbreaking and forgotten wars, the Sudan Civil War. Sudan's journey began in 1956, when it gained independence from British and Egyptian rule. But freedom brought with it a new war, a war between the North and the South. The North was mostly Arab and Muslim, while the South was home to African tribes and Christians. Different religions, different ethnicities, but one country forced to live under one system. When the northern government tried to impose Islamic law on the entire nation, the South rebelled, and so began the first of many civil wars in Sudan's history. The First Sudanese Civil War erupted in 1955, just before independence, and lasted for 17 long years. Thousands were killed. Cities were destroyed. Generations grew up in fear. In 1972, the war finally ended with the Addis Ababa Agreement, granting limited autonomy to the South. But peace was fragile and temporary. Promises were broken, and the fire of war began to burn again. In 1983, Sudan fell into its second civil war, one of Africa's longest and deadliest conflicts. For over 2 decades, more than 2 million lives were lost. Villages were burned, children kidnapped, and famine swept across the land. The world barely noticed. Sudan became a silent battlefield, a place where survival meant running every single day. For ordinary people, peace was just a dream they could no longer believe in. After years of endless bloodshed, a peace deal was signed in 2005. The people finally saw a ray of hope. And in 2011, a new nation was born, South Sudan. People celebrated freedom, believing the nightmare was finally over. But peace didn't last long. Just 2 years later, South Sudan itself fell into another civil war, a war driven by tribal rivalries and political greed. Once again, families fled, and once again, the dream of peace was shattered. Fast forward to 2023, Sudan was burning once again. This time, the fight wasn't between the North and the South, but between 2 powerful generals, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, leader of the Sudanese army, and Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemedti, commander of the Rapid Support Forces. Both wanted power, both wanted control, and both turned their weapons on their own people. The capital, Khartoum, became a war zone. Hospitals bombed, homes destroyed, thousands killed, millions displaced. Electricity vanished. Food and medicine ran out. The city once alive turned into ashes. It became one of the worst humanitarian crises of our time. And yet, the world stayed silent. In this chaos, there are faces the world never sees: children who haven't seen a classroom in years, mothers searching for food and water, fathers digging graves for their loved ones. Their cries echo through the empty streets of Sudan, asking for peace, for hope, for someone to care. But their voices fade into the noise of a world too busy to listen. Sudan's war is not just Sudan's story, it's humanity's story. A story of greed, power, and the cost of silence. Because when the world ignores one war, it allows another to begin. Let us remember Sudan. Let us pray for its people. And let us speak for those who can no longer speak for themselves. I'm Dark John, and this was the story of the Sudan Civil War, a tragedy the world must never forget.